Good day. Welcome to Westchester Talk Radio. WestchesterTalkRadio.com, produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by our good friends over at Robeson Oil, the house that service built, by Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis. By Hightower Westchester, managing your wealth to a fiduciary standard. By White Plains Hospital. By Michael Labriola, Landscape Design and Construction of Armonk. And by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. Here on the beat in Westchester, we are joined by Howard Sturman. Howard Sturman is the publisher and CEO of Westchester's Hometown Media Group. They publish the City Review of New Rochelle, also the Eastchester Review, the Harrison Review, the Merrimack Review, and the Rye City Review, too. Howard Sturman, welcome back to Westchester Talk Radio. It's a hot summer already, I guess, right?
Well, thank you, John, for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I love our discussions. But it is hot, and, you got to cover your head when you go out there in that sun.
As opposed to, I guess, the local elections on primary day a few days ago. I also want to point out you are a longtime analyst and talk show host on one of my former homes, WVOX Radio in New Rochelle. You've been there for 20 years. Congratulations on that. Local elections, not much going on except maybe for the county clerk.
That's correct. Right now, in the popular vote, Tim Iadoni is ahead, I think 300 and some odd votes, but there are over 3,000 absentee ballots that need to be counted. And when they are counted, my guess is they will probably go very close, depending on how they were collected. That's always a big if. Today, absentee ballots can make the difference in election. In the old elections prior to this November, absentee ballots usually broke the same way as the popular vote. So all I can say is that Tim Iadoni, who has been the county clerk for 19 years, going on his 20th, and is running for another term, former mayor of New Rochelle, city manager at Ossining, has done an outstanding job in the clerk's office, has brought it into the 21st century, and it's really, it would be a shame to break that up right now and try somebody new out because it's all working. And this is one of those things that policy, is not that great. It's not something you're going to come in there and fix everything, because everything is running pretty smoothly.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're talking about the Democratic nomination for a county clerk with Tim Iadoni in that seat, like you said, for almost 2 decades. The challenger is Yonkers City Councilwoman Shanae Williams, and she is from the much more progressive wing of the party. Even here in Westchester, we have the progressives and those who are pretty much right down the middle of the road, maybe a little left of center, going at it.
Yes, we do. Interesting enough, in the last November election, we from Westchester, which has always been considered prior to maybe about 8-10 years ago, was 100% Republican, now is pretty staunch, moderate Democrats, and that has moved to the left. We had Jamal Bowman elected in Congress, as well as Mondaire
Jones, too.
Jones, yeah. Yes. And they are both part of the, I guess you can call them the AOC faction, and very active in that movement. So a lot of money for Shanae Williams came from that movement to get her elected. That's why this race is so close.
Mm-hmm. Yonkers City Council President Mike Cater loses the Democratic primary to challenger Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy. Now, Collins-Bellamy is on the Yonkers School Board, and she will become the first African-American Yonkers City Council president if she winds up winning this Democratic primary, in all likelihood, with Yonkers being a very Democratic city as well. There is a Republican challenger, but you would have to give the nod to the Democrat in November going in, no doubt about that. She has the support of Mayor Mike Spano and other, what we would call traditional Democrats in the city of Yonkers. How did it come about that Mike Cater winds up seemingly on the outs with the establishment and the newcomer Collins Bellamy is in?
Well, I think it's part of the movement towards the left, and they wanted a compromise candidate who had some left leanings, and that's part of it. You know, that's probably the best of my analysis on that race.
Mm-hmm. And Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano calling the challenger a conciliator, so that indicates the direction the administration in Yonkers is moving into, and that tells me Yonkers City Hall wants peace, not problems, and getting behind the progressive wing is one way to do it. Over in Mount Vernon, 3 seemingly new Mount Vernon forward city council people getting elected too, also a new city controller getting elected, and they all seem to be allies of the mayor. With this, because there have been so many problems in Mount Vernon, not just through the years, but through the decades, with this, if the mayor gets 3 new allies on the city council, she'll have a super majority. If she gets the controller she wants, might this kind of move Mount Vernon politics in a different direction, maybe not so much infighting anymore?
Yeah, very possibly. That's what one would hope, because there has been a lot of dissension within the ranks there. And so hopefully this will bring a new future to Mount Vernon, who desperately needs it.
Mm-hmm. As we move along and we move out of Westchester for just a moment with an issue that does affect Westchester, Governor Andrew Cuomo, his ongoing legal battles, did they affect him and his ability to work a budget, to work throughout the just concluded state legislative session, which affects everybody?
Well, I don't think it appears that it is. I don't, I think those days of this disqualifying a candidate has come to a grinding halt. I always consider Andrew Cuomo the 800-pound gorilla in the room. I never count him out of anything. And I said this very early on, that if he runs again, which I believe he will, he's going to get reelected.
By a large margin again, or much smaller?
Well, it depends again what the progressives of the party do. And they might put a progressive candidate for governor.
Bill de Blasio, maybe?
Well, I think that's a legend in his own mind. But de Blasio, I believe, is a legend in his own mind. He can't get reelected in New York City, let alone the state. And I think most people view what's going on in New York City as his fault.
Mm-hmm. Now, Governor Cuomo announces federal funding assistance, more than $2 billion worth, to be allocated across the state. How might this impact Westchester? And this is with regards to food for those who are hungry, federal food assistance funding. How might this impact the communities in Westchester that are not as affluent, not as wealthy as others? For example, the Yonkers, the Mount Vernons, the New Rochelle's, Peekskills, parts of White Plains, etc.
Well, I don't think it's going to have a major impact on the programs. Remember, you still have the federal SNAP programs and you have the other programs. So I don't think it's going to have a major impact. Look, most of this money is what I call a fudge factor. And this fills all the holes in government's deficits for overspending. And it gives them a way of buying another year without taxes and having a positive surplus within the bank account. So I don't see a lot of that. It's not coming back to the taxpayers, that's for sure. So I don't know where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm. Howard Sturman is the publisher and the CEO of the Hometown Media Group in Westchester. Look up Hometown Media Group online. They cover basically the Sound Shore area of Westchester, and all of Westchester they have covered for you as well. Westchester's COVID, wastewater, treatment plans. That's
Yeah,
good.
there's always been talk about what could happen, what ifs. I remember after 9/11, where they put National Guard up on the Kensico Dam to protect the reservoirs. So, you know, this kind of thinking and concern is a lot better than being caught blindsided.
Mm-hmm. Now, Governor Cuomo relaxing most COVID restrictions around the New York State, with the state hitting 70% of having people vaccinated. Are we moving? And I like to ask this question to get different answers. I know I'll get different answers from different people. Are we moving too fast in the reopening direction right now? Because that number is, I guess, flexible, 70%, depending upon who you talk to. You talk to medical people, they'll give you more like 80, 85%. And I like to go by what the sports leagues do, the NBA, the NFL, baseball, obviously, the NHL. They seem to be more in that 85% category before they reduce and loosen team and league-wide restrictions.
Well, first of all, I don't think we're moving too fast. I think we moved too slow already. And I don't believe any of those numbers, by the way, also.
Why?
I believe they're a lot less because it's just not happening as well as they think about it. Remember, you have a group of kids that are 21 and younger that are probably in the low teens in vaccination as a percentage. So this drags the number down. And so I don't really believe these numbers, but I'm happy that they're using them as a benchmark to release the shackles. And what I look at is there's a couple of things that concern me. One is, if the numbers are correct and the people are vaccinated and we have the immunity that people that had COVID add to that number, why are we concerned anymore? Why aren't we, like businesses are requiring people to be vaccinated to go back to work? Well, why don't they ask for a flu shot also? When do we have this intrusion into our lives end? I particularly find offense to the question of vaccination as compared to showing proof. I'm vaccinated. I did it very early on. I have no idea, as the rest of America does, whether a year from now these things are going to be effective or they're going to not damage my health. I have no idea. There's been no that testing. It's too soon. So I'm ready to wait it out a little bit and see how this unfolds. I just think it's part of the control mechanism, and I really hate. Look, everything the government does in the past, they've messed it up. You go back as early as Social Security and Medicare and the other programs that were good programs and had good ideas. Government wasted the money. Look at the lottery in New York State. That money was supposed to go towards education. Well, sorry, they needed that for the budget. So that's where that's going. So I don't believe that the government is there to really make our lives better. They should be there to protect us from making our lives worse. So I'm a skeptic. That's all I can say.
Talk a little more about the state budget. You referenced that again. Does the budget do enough for small businesses, for small business pandemic recovery, and for renters too? Renters who need relief.
Well, some of the programs have worked. Look, there's no question that a lot of the PPP money, which is the payroll protection program, saved a lot of businesses. There's no question about that. Some of them became a little bit of a boondoggle, which any handout program does, but that has helped. There are some state grants, but most of those grants have been limited to people of color, LBGQ.
LGBTQ.
Yeah, I lost all the initials there. That They've gone to that direction. So I don't know what percentage of those people are business owners, and I don't know what the overall impact is. But there's money out there, and you really have to. It's not like you're seeing commercials on TV to get it. You have to do a little research, and you need a little help.
A guy once told me, the money's there. You just have to go find a way to get it. And you bring up a good point about that, about the money being there.
Yeah. It's like my father used to tell me as a kid. He said, banks are only there when you don't need them.
How true, I think.
No more toasters, but...
Now, are enough people vaccinated across Westchester from what you can tell? You said the numbers are...
Well, if it works... If it works, absolutely.
That's an interesting point, if it works.
And if it doesn't work, if there's a concern about it working, why are we counting these numbers anymore?
Do we need booster shots in September?
We don't know. I haven't heard anybody talk about it.
Actually, yeah, we've heard that it could be.
I mean, this might turn out to be, they might make this an annual program, like if those people that get the flu shot, they're going to be an annual program. You're going to go to CVS. Now, you have to understand also that the federal government is spending billions upon billions of dollars for this vaccination move in the home stretch. And is the risk reward there? We don't know. We just don't have any of this information, none whatsoever. And if you listen to like White House briefings, you get a different number of percentage. If you listen to Anthony Fauci, you get another number. If you listen to the former CDC director, you got another number. So, and if you read it in the newspapers, you'll probably get 3 to 4 different numbers. So I don't know what's real, what's not. I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to say, let's move forward. Let's start going back to living our lives, good or bad. We should go back to that and see where that takes us.
About those numbers, I guess we could say we could use the old adage, your guess is as good as mine. Yeah.
Now, look, I don't want to diminish the idea that 600,000 Americans died as a result, we think, as a result of this disease. We don't know how they counted that. We don't know whether everybody that died, I'd love to see what the numbers, we used to have 50, 60,000 people die a year from the flu. I'd like to see what those numbers were last year. If they were, 5,000, then you have to assume that some of those numbers were flu victims and not, and not everybody gets an autopsy. And so there's a lot of fudge factor here.
Mm-hmm. Well, Governor Cuomo, and we talked about his investigations previously, when will there be a final word with the investigations about the governor? Because the investigations at the outset were supposed to take about 60 days. I've spoken to people who said, yeah, let's investigate him for an investigation if it can be done within 60 days. That was the original word, 60 days. We're well, I think, beyond that point. And from what we hear, with all the witnesses that have been called in, I guess more than 100 people have been spoken to, we may not get anything coming down the line from Attorney General James until at least the fall.
I would say later. And maybe we might get the results of the Durham investigation prior to that, which is going on, 3 years now, or maybe longer. We don't hear a word about that. I don't know whether he closed up shop or not, but found nothing. If he did, he should announce that. If he's still working on it, he should give the American people a status report. And then the other question is, if the results that he gets, whether this Justice Department under Merrick Garland are going to pursue these claims.
By the way, I'm hearing about vaccines that we'll have to get one in 2022 besides the booster shot in the fall. And they are working on a vaccine that is supposed to fight the flu and COVID in one. a lot of that, as you indicate, is wait and see.
Yes, yeah. I mean, look, I do it. I've been getting a flu shot for the last 15, 20 years. Never get the flu, so I know that works for me. Might not work for everybody else. And again, everybody's physiology is different. So we don't know what works and what doesn't work. And there's no real studies on it.
Howard Sturman, publisher, CEO, Hometown Media Group, Westchester's Hometown Media Group, covering the South Shore area. Go look up Howard and the Hometown Media Group online, if you would. Now, we talked about the warm weather when we opened up. It's hot out there. Rye Playland is open. The golf courses are open. Are we, at least in those areas, getting back to the way things should be?
It appears so. Certainly golf, the second they opened up the course, was packed because by most people's definition, golf is not a social distance issue. So that opened up immediately. Playland just opened up, which is a very late start to the season. But I hear that the turnout for this weekend was very strong. So it looks like it's coming back. People need things to do. There isn't a lot to do. So they're looking for it.
The state's Board for Historic Preservation recommends adding the Child Welfare Association of Mamaroneck, plus the Fleischman House, a colonial revival-style residence in Peekskill, to the state and National Registers of Historic Places. So Westchester makes history again. So many historic sites around the county.
Yes, look, I grew up in New Rochelle. I remember the Thomas Paine house. He was not around when I was there, but in any event, we started very early with that. We have so many historic sites here in Westchester. But look, if you have young kids or even teenagers, and they say, "What are we going to do today?" You give them an option of the beach, the pool, or going to a museum. You don't know, how a museum is going to work out. So unless couples want to do that to be cool, it's not top on the travel agenda.
Mm-hmm. Now, you talked about needing things to do. How about this? Starting in July, the Lawn Chair Theater traveling shows return across Westchester with a musical adaptation of Shakespeare. They'll be in New Rochelle, Rye,
Right.
and Bedford, among other locales. So we are getting, like you've said, things back step by step.
Yes, it's returning, and if you notice, most of the stores are not requiring masks. Some of the places are still, some of the workforce is saying if you're not vaccinated, you need to wear a mask to work. I don't get that because if the percentage of people that are vaccinated is true, you do have herd immunity, so the risk is not as great as it used to be. And it's a shame if someone really believes that they don't trust the vaccine for whatever reason, that they have to be ostracized into submitting to that or stand out with a mask on their face.
I've heard you're working out to get ready to paddle for the Long Island Sound. That's back July 23rd to August 1st. Paddle, sail, walk, or run for the Long Island Sound Keeper to protect our environment. Are you ready to go?
Oh, sure. As long as it has a motor on it, I'm in.
Me too. I can't swim, so I've always said to people, want to get rid of me, just dump me in the ocean, and it was nice to know you. So,
well, I can swim, but when I turned north of 70, that was a change in how much of that kind of activity I was doing.
One thing to remember, the waters are so much cleaner now, with so many sharks we see reported close to shore around the tri-state area. We saw down the Jersey shore of Point Pleasant about 10 days ago, a great white just feet from the shore, basically. Not a big great white, but my guess is I would lose that fight no matter how big or small that great white might be. So,
yeah, like a 2-footer would bother me. Yeah. A 2-footer would bother me, and I love the ocean, and I have to tell you that anything that touches my legs when I'm in the water makes me nervous. So.
On Long Beach, on Long Island, a couple of years ago, I saw fishermen. I like to talk to fishermen on Long Beach when I'm there and walk the beach and find out what's running. As I walk, I like to find out what's, quote, running, unquote. And one of the guys I spoke to, I said, "What are you catching?" And he said, "Flounder and fluke and bluefish and shark." And I said, "Shark, this close to the shore?" And he said, "Yeah, shark." And I looked at him like he was nuts. And I said, "I'd better get out of here fast because this guy is crazy." And he said to me, "Why, just because you didn't hear about it on Fox News, it can't be?" At which point I said, "It's time for me to get out of here." I said, "Thanks, have a nice day." Turned out he was right, because not long after that, a shark was caught very close to shore. So this guy was catching shark a couple of years ago along the shores of Long Beach in Nassau County. And that shows how sharks have really come back into this area, into the waterways of this area. Matter of fact, last year, I think it was, 6 separate sharks were being tracked in Long Island Sound between Westchester and eastern Connecticut. I wonder what that number might be this year with the waters getting even cleaner and nobody using the waters for the past year.
Yeah, that's another thing where you don't get a great count on. Look, they've been around the shores here for the last 20 some odd years. I remember off of Long Beach going out shark fishing with some friends, and I was maybe a mile or 2 miles off of shore, and we caught a giant mako who was starting to chew up the stern of the boat. So that put me right up on the fly bridge, but that was my one and only time shark fishing.
Did you go out with the Captree boat out of Freeport?
No, it was a friend of mine chartered a boat. He took 5 of us on it, and they had a able
It's
crew.
a good thing you brought that shark in, Howard. A smaller boat with 5 people on board, not the Captree.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you've taken down the Captree, but the boat you were on, you might not have had as good a Captree.
That's why I was glad they had a fly bridge.
Getting reeled in, no doubt about that.
I don't think my feet ever touched the stairs as I got up there so fast. So,
like they say, don't mess with Mother Nature, right?
Right.
No doubt. Will Westchester County Executive George Latimer run for governor one day? Maybe not this time around, but maybe next time?
Well, I don't think so. I think, George can get reelected.
No question.
Right now. He's got a good job. He's getting to the point in his life where his pension can't grow anymore. So he might be just, if he does it, it's not because it's a job anymore. It's because he loves what he's doing. So why risk that? Why leave the county executive's job to run for governor?
Why not go? It's another feather in your cap professionally.
Well, he'll never go against Cuomo if Cuomo's on the ticket.
Right. I don't think anybody will, obviously, unless the AG
is
so damaging that somebody sees the door.
Look, the AOC crew is definitely going to put a candidate up for governor. Definitely.
Any idea who that might be?
Not a clue.
No.
Not a clue. These people come out of the woodwork. Some of them I've never even heard of, but they get elected. So it's hard to anticipate that. Just like it's hard to really anticipate who the Republican's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Why is the Republican Party so short-shifted in this county now? And I think that may be part of their own doing, too, that they don't get out there enough. You don't have to agree with the message, but you want to see the other party out there, too, with a message. And I don't see a real Republican message in this area right now.
Well, you don't get it. You're not getting any messages from either party. The Democrats have a registration majority, have for quite some time now. It's very hard for Republican candidates to raise money in order to launch a decent campaign.
Is that the real key?
Yeah, it's always money. Why is Cuomo going to be so successful? God knows I haven't looked in a long time what his filings are, but God knows how much he's got in his bank ready to go and still raising money.
I think over $30 million.
Okay, so that's a start. uh, who's going to step into this now and try to even come close to matching that? And just like even the county executive race is a probably $1.5 million to $2 million race now. What Republican can raise that? Right now, the Republican nominee, Christine Schulte, who has served in government for quite some time, but most people don't know who she is. She has a name recognition issue. The question is if she can raise enough money to get her name out there so people even know who she is and what she stands for.
Why does she even accept the nomination at that point? Because she knows she's going out there just to fall on a sword.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's a placeholder, as we used to call them. And so I don't know. I can't go into the logic of this. I think the Republicans needed to have a candidate run. And I mean, look, I can't name another established Republican that would jump into that race. I don't know if you can.
No, I can't. And I can't think of a Republican around the county who could jump into most races around the county because everything is so democratically filled right now. And you got to give the Democrats obviously credit for being able to convert so many Republican-held seats previously into Democratic-held seats. And
it's the numbers, it's registration. Look at cities like Rye, that was a staunch Republican.
Right.
That is now Democrat. Harrison is still marginally Republican, and there is a mayor's race there, and it's going to be a very tight race for the Republican. But
Ron Belmont,
he's retiring.
Okay, he's retiring. So
yes,
he's on the ballot then.
No, it's Richard Denizio, who was running on the Republican line, and I'm not sure. I can't think at the moment who the Democrat is, but Denizio is a known quantity. He was on the town council, and so he's somewhat known. That doesn't mean he can't, jump into a Democrat can't jump into this race. So we will see. We'll see what happens there.
How about mayor of Rye City? How about that?
That's what I'm talking about, the Rye City mayor, Democrat.
City. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about Harrison.
Oh, Harrison. Okay, we were. Before that, I said Rye City is Democrat now.
Yeah.
And if you look at even Eastchester, where, to me, in my mind, the only known Republican that could run for county executive or county-wide office is Tony Calavita,
right,
who's been the supervisor of Eastchester for quite some time. He's got his own races to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same old.
So this county, it looks like, will stay staunchly Democratic for a long time to come.
Well, look, as they keep moving and pouring outside money into these races for progressive candidates and other candidates, you're going to see, I mean, not that this didn't happen before, but it's changing a lot. Mm-hmm. I happen to know in the Bowman race and the Mondaire Jones race, there were millions and millions of dollars sent through other PACs from outside of Westchester and New York to that race. So this is no longer a local game. And as long as the Democrats control the state Senate, the state assembly, and the governor's mansion, I don't see that changing too often. And all they're going to do is try to perpetuate that lead by getting more elected. So this is going to end up being like one of those states like California, where you could possibly be a Republican, like Ronald Reagan or Arnold Schwarzenegger, and get elected. Nobody can now. And New York is going to go that way also.
Can the Republicans put up a real candidate to challenge Andrew Cuomo in 2022? We have 3 candidates for the Republican nomination right now. Andrew Giuliani, Rudy's son, former county executive Rob Astorino, who ran against Cuomo in 2014, and Long Island East End Congressman Lee Zeldin, who has a pretty good national profile.
Right. Now, he can raise money.
No doubt.
He can raise money, probably more than well, Giuliani is, I don't believe, a real contender in this race. So it's between Rob Astorino, who had trouble securing the Senate seat when he ran there in his own home district.
Senate seat. Yeah.
So as much as a lot of people like Rob, he's got a long haul if you can't carry your own district. So you got to be able to look into the future and say, all right, how am I going to carry Westchester and win the state election? He's got a lot of work to do and a lot of fundraising. Who knows? Maybe he can do it. I've never counted Rob out of anything.
Right.
And Lee Zeldin is very popular from his district. But once he starts moving a little south, I got the district west. Once he starts, west
and north.
Yeah, right. Once he starts moving a little west of Suffolk County, the whole world changes. Those are not the day where there were GOP party bosses running the county, Nassau County, and stuff. Yeah. That's over. That's over.
Right. Even in Suffolk County, he's got a long haul in a lot of ways, I think, but he always seems to, the last few years, pull through against Tim Bishop. And I know this from my extensive work on Long Island, too, and having covered Lee Zeldin and Tim Bishop and their races. So might there be another Republican who emerges along the way to take on Zeldin, Astorino, and Andrew Giuliani? Might George Pataki make a run for governor again?
Doubt it. I believe in his private life, George is having a very good life, and he's still of counsel to a law firm. Right. I assume he's doing quite well there.
He has his own consulting firm, too, correct?
Yes. So I don't see, and George is, he's about 75 now. I don't see that that's something that he wants to. I don't think he wants to put a loss on his belt. So why take the chance? Mm-hmm. He's much better trying to be behind the scenes in the Republican Party, like he and Al D'Amato used to be.
Right.
Those days are not as clear. Cuomo, doing 12 years already as governor, has really obliterated that whole concept.
I like that word, obliterated. That's what Andrew Cuomo has done. He's obliterated all competition, right?
Yes. Yeah. It seems to me it's the same MO as the United States House of Representatives is trying to do by adding states on to put more senators and more
representatives in Congress.
Right, which will vote Democrat, right. And to lock in their place. You have also this immigration issue. Some would say that this is a ploy also to bring in millions and millions of new Democratic voters. So I don't think anybody wants to give up that power once they get it. And you don't have to be a Democrat or a Republican. They both love it. So it's an aphrodisiac for most of them.
One point about the immigration issue, and there is that talk that Democrats are doing what they're doing to get more votes, so many more people to vote for them. Isn't this, though, when you look at it, all those people they expect would vote for them, all the newcomers to this country, they wouldn't be able to do that for really years to come. So what is the added advantage, the benefit of it? They're not going to get votes today.
It's an investment. It's an investment in the future. And just like the Republicans invested in the Hispanic community and turned a lot of that vote in their direction.
That they did.
Yes, they also doubled the numbers in the African American community. So this is a numbers game. And if you're in politics, it's all about the numbers and the money, the numbers of the money and the numbers of the voters.
So it's not much different than sports, right?
Right. Yeah. Like, if you're going to spend $50,000 a year on a pitcher, he's not going to do that great. But
if you throw him $9 million, you got to hope he's an ace.
Right? That's right. That's right.
All right. Howard Sturman is the publisher and CEO of the Hometown Media Group here in Westchester. Check them out online. Also, longtime radio host and political analyst at WVOX Radio in the Rochelle. Howard, we thank you for joining us again here on.
My pleasure. And I just want to say that I am on WVOX Thursdays at 11 o'clock, 11 to 12. And for those of you that are interested in our website, you can do that by going to hometwn.com. And that will put you on a page where you can get all of our newspapers and you can actually see the copies of it. So we look forward to doing this again, John, and enjoy your day. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Howard Sturman, here on Westchester Talk Radio, westchestertalkradio.com. Produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by Robeson Oil, the house that service built, Lipolis Electric, don't be left in the dark, get Lipolis. Hightower Westchester, managing your wealth through a fiduciary standard. White Plains Hospital, Michael Labriola Landscape Design and Construction of Armonk by Tompkins Mahopac Bank, and by us right here at Westchester Talk Radio. Download the Westchester Talk Radio app if you would. Catch all of our Westchester, Rockland, Putnam, Dutchess, Orange, and Fairfield County Talk Radio programming on our YouTube channel, Sharc Creative YouTube.